Welcome back to another episode of the How Do I Do This podcast. And as always, I know I say I'm excited about everybody, and I really was, for real. I love you guys. But I'm really excited to have my boy B Flat here with me today.
Well then.
Yes, he came down. I'm going to eventually call him by his government name because I feel like everyone should know. But I'm glad that he's here today on the How Do I Do This podcast. And the reason we do this podcast is because we have so many people in the creative space, in the entrepreneurial space. And literally the question that comes up all the time is, how do I do this? Yeah. And I think sometimes people forget that the biggest thing is getting started. Yeah. And so it's important for us to have guests who can share their stories, share their experience, their journey, and just share people how they did it. Now, one thing that is very important to me on this podcast, we don't like no cappers, okay? Okay. Like, I want you to be honest about your experience, honest about your emotions, honest about your feelings, the things that worked, the things that didn't work, because it's important for people to know what they're getting ready to get themselves into, but to also really understand the totality of the experience, right? Because I think it also helps us to manage our expectations when we get ready to journey into something that we've never done before. Yeah. So I like to usually read people's receipts, but I just feel like I don't have enough paper here to be able to read.
Oh, you're too kind.
To read your receipts. But you are a producer, vocalist.
Studio engineer. Well, in that, I have to say recording engineer and mix engineer.
Okay.
Songwriter.
Don't play yourself.
That happened a little bit.
A lot bit.
An artist. When you think about it, I started off drawing and painting and stuff like that.
All types of things. Instrumentalist.
Yeah. Play a couple things. Dabble.
Okay. All right. So we got little baby Prince in our hands.
Well, come on now.
I'm just speaking that into
existence.
Listen, come on, receive it. So you do so many different things. I've personally had the pleasure to work with you musically, and it by far was one of the best experiences I've had. We're gonna definitely do it again. And so you have been on a really interesting journey. And one of the conversations that we had before we got started is the thing that I admire about you and I really want to drill down into is your commitment to your craft. I think right now there are so many people who do music. Like, the music industry, the creative space, it ain't no room. Like, it's you know what I'm saying? It's tons and tons of people. But I think that the differentiator is the commitment to the craft. I feel like some people feel like, okay, they can jump in, they can get started, and they can produce, create anything, that people should just come. But one of the things I've seen you do consistently over the years I've known you is continue to elevate in your craft and commit yourself to your skills. So I really want to get into that part of your story. But first, I feel like people need to know who Brian B. Flat Cook is.
Let's go.
Oh, okay. I government. First name, last name. Don't play with me. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you got started into music, in the world of music. Was it something that you always did? Like, just tell us a little bit more about who you are.
Okay, cool. Brian B. Flat Cook. Music producer, studio engineer. That's how I usually introduce myself. But have to throw in vocalist and recording artist and all that kind of stuff now. So
songwriter.
Stop playing. Artist.
Stop playing. Come on.
Don't kid around.
Don't play.
So when you really consider it, how I got started was being an artist. Like literally, like just sitting in the middle of the floor, doodling around, and somebody like peered over my shoulder one day and was like, hold on, now this is really good. So I liked that happened, or I didn't have any control of say so whether or not I liked it. But the result of it was, oh snap, you really like what I'm doing right here. And it was what do you call it? It just gave me reinforcement behind what I was doing. Like, okay, well, I'm going to continue to do it then. So of course, if you look at whatever that was, like today, it was probably trash.
I mean, it probably was good.
It might have been good for that time, but that encouraged me to continue to build on. And that's where the time thing comes in. Like, it wasn't overnight, when I look at it. Because it kind of like, that part of it was a calling that I had to answer. I wasn't like, I want to learn how to be whatever or a musician. So being an artist, somewhere around high school, I discovered like the ability to actually create music. By that time, I discovered that I can play by ear. When you consider like keys and.
So how did you determine that? Was it like, because in my mind I'm seeing the Tina Turner story, how like she was at church and then like, you know what I mean? So were you out somewhere? Were you sitting on the keys and you was like, oh snap, like I can remember these notes. Like how did you
the Tina Turner thing? It wasn't that glorious. It wasn't that glorious.
So
on the floor, probably drawing. The house I grew up in, man, was in the Pratt area, and I'm chilling, watching wrestling. On TV, you know what I'm saying? Stone Cold or somebody was probably on TV. Somehow I was led to look up under the couch in the living room. Yeah, it was in the living room. And I saw a keyboard up under there.
Wow.
Now, to me, it just appeared out of nowhere. Like, my mom would say, oh, yeah, I bought that for you when you was young. You just didn't care about it. But that day when I saw it, I was like, oh, Mom, what is this? We need some batteries.
Yeah.
And she put the batteries in there. And she played by ear. So, the apple don't fall far. She played somebody's theme music. We was watching wrestling. And I was like, oh, snap. I understand what you just did. Like, more than I even know. Wow. My turn, and then I started doing it from that. That was like a pivotal point for me to where like, oh, I really understand this. I don't know why, I don't know how, but I'm gonna build off of it because it's fun.
That's amazing.
So 100%. So from then it was like, okay, now I got a keyboard that was given to me more intentionally. Like I want a Casio now, a step sequencer after then, and come across some software after that, and then so on and so forth. So around high school, that's when that art, that painting and drawing and oil pastels and even colored pencils, that turned into music making, but it was still art.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm still creating something that didn't exist before.
Absolutely.
And, I don't know, I haven't really stopped that since. I had a lot of other ventures that came up in the mix, even school and stuff like that. But in the midst of all that stuff, I just never stopped actually doing music.
I love that. Yeah. It's so many things. My mom was like, woo! Like, first of all, I think that story is so amazing because the thing is, like you said, in your mind, the keyboard just came out of nowhere. Yeah. But your mom, she kind of always knew that something was there. And so a lot of times it's just really, are we kind of paying attention? And we're going to eventually fall into the things that we're supposed to fall into if we happen to take like the interest in it. And so I just think that learning from your story is absolutely amazing. But one of the things you also said is that it started with like, I like to draw. I like to create things. And when you said something that was so important, you said, I like to create things that don't exist.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we get so locked into like one part of our being that we miss like the totality of who we could be, right? Okay. So like that day you discovered like, yo, I can play by ear, but you could have been like, that's cool, but I'm an artist. I just draw.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or I just do. And I think the one thing I want to pull out is that you allowed yourself to be open to the fullness of your creativity and your artistry. Yeah. And that's why in the beginning we can say songwriter, producer, engineer, because you were open to all of the things.
But then let's put a comma there.
Yes.
I was open to an extent. I was still on some, I just want to be in the background. And I just only like, I knew all the other stuff existed, but I was only like engineer, producer. Just put a comma there because I didn't want to be in the forefront. It's searching after camera lenses, like, hey, y'all look at me or whatever. It was just like, oh, I'm just gonna play background. Yeah, I just want to produce, and y'all go out and go on stage and stuff like that. So that was a long time worth of doing, but I didn't know it was like. Now I consider it as wrong because I mean, what service am I doing to all of humanity if I have this thing that I can do or expound upon and I'm just being shy about it. That's really all it was. 1,000%. So to be open to singing and, and recording myself, buying a little camera so I can, create content even and stuff like that, that was not remotely considered a decade ago, So,
But the reality is, you did it though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so comma, still, period. But you did it though, period. You know what I'm saying? Because the reality is even though at the time, because we evolve and we grow, there used to be a time like speaking to people, being on stage is something that is like, it's like breathing. It's so easy to me. Yeah. Like it, but there used to be a time like in my journey, especially when I first started out in music, that I was definitely afraid of singing on stages. Like I literally would sing with my eyes closed.
Oh, bet. Oh.
And my mom was like, sis, you can't do that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then it got to the point, like, you ever been so afraid on stage, like your body, like my knees would shake to where I had no control. And like, I would have cotton mouth. I mean, I would no saliva. I was so afraid. Yeah. And then I had this thing where growing up in middle, I had low self-esteem. So I was super afraid to look people in the eyes. But now at this big age, you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we evolved. But even though at the time you weren't open to it, you were open to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You had to evolve. So, yes, comma, you did it though, period. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I mean? So that's like important. So you were like, yo, I figured these things out. I kind of started seeing like where I had all these ideas for my creativity and like, okay, I want to express it. So you went to college.
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to the University of Alabama. Tuscaloosa Roll Tide.
UA, okay. All right. That's enough. No, TU, okay. Holla at me. Sir, don't play yourself. Listen, That's a whole nother conversation.
Tired? Is that what you meant to say?
Okay.
No, I ain't gonna do that.
No, because don't do it. Okay, you're gonna lose.
I'm not gonna do it. I'll lose. I tell you why I lose. I still owe him money. So,
Same. So
about music production.
So you were at UA. What did you major in?
At the end of the day, business administration.
Okay.
Thought I was gonna be an engineer. That's what I went for.
So you knew music. You had creativity. Why did you choose engineering?
Ooh, you know what? I've never considered this question before, and I never really thought through it. But it's kind of one and the same to me now that I look back in retrospect.
Okay.
It's solving problems. That's what I do all day, whether you're going to civil, mechanical, whatever. So something about that idea, I believe, was like subconsciously attractive to me. And knowing that's what I do all day. So I stay up at 4 o'clock in the morning, something go wrong with the computer, or I just got an idea. I wanted to sound this way. How do I do this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I literally would just stay up, and it wouldn't bother me. It wouldn't test my patience. Like just troubleshooting, just, okay, mark this off. This didn't work. Let me try this. So I think maybe there's some kind of,
correlation in there.
Yeah.
So, but did they have a music program?
Yes and no. It wasn't what I'm sure it is today, like, because I hear about that across universities, like, all around. But at the time, it was more so I would have been considered going into it, like, for something more classical. And it wasn't necessarily, like, the audio production side of things.
And the reason I ask is because I'm like, okay, so because there's so many of us, we have these skill sets, we have a passion or a desire, and then we go to school and we do something completely opposite. One, maybe because the thing that we love to do doesn't seem as practical. So we choose the thing that maybe has some correlation. Like, oh, okay, engineering is close enough. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes even the people in our lives who love us the most, they kind of push us toward that practicality. And then a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah.
So what'd you about to say?
I would say stuck or afraid because it doesn't, like, what I was doing, especially like during that time, and I'm not talking like I'm an ancient artifact, like I'm a dinosaur, but it wasn't that long ago, but it wasn't yesterday either, that it was kind of unheard of for me to put more focus behind being an entrepreneur and behind being a musician even. Like, this is like the starving artist route. That's what it's like. So, people around you, even the closest folks to you, they start biting their nails for you. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, you're doing real good at this. You're obviously good at this, but...
we want you to be able to make a life for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. So that part was pretty tough, but I can't say that it was as tough as it was for maybe a lot of other people. Maybe I can't tell you why. I just knew. Like, I didn't position myself to have a whole lot of different options. Like, that was an option, but then this was too, like, doing music and being a producer and stuff like that. And at the time, it was just working. And maybe I could see through that more than the people around me could. Like, I know y'all don't get it, but just trust me. Like, I saw into the future and I didn't really get but so I would say that part is big, though.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Like, you were like, hey, I didn't give myself a lot of options. Like, I'm going to school. Engineering probably is the most comparable thing to like what I want to do, but really I know what I want to do. I really know who I am, and I love y'all, but this is more than likely the path I'm going to take. Does it seem easy? Does it seem practical? Nah, but I think I'm going to go this route. So you graduate from UA.
Didn't.
Okay.
Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Then there was, with anything that you do, you're going to come across some set of trials.
Yes.
Or whatever. Once I came across my first set of really big trials with school, and it wasn't grades, I didn't get kicked out. Grades or nothing. It was I can say this, it was a financial thing.
Yeah. Like it is for most of us.
And so when I came across it, I could have muscled through that and over it. And the equivalence of that, I've seen that in some ways many different times with music. But I just didn't bring me to a halt. It didn't stop me. But it kind of just stopped. Because I already had the music thing going on. And when it stopped, I was able to go full-time in the music. And I saw it work for me personally. I'm not telling everybody to quit after their third year of school. Like I did. But
I'm to the end, but I flew it. You know what I'm saying?
But I just saw, 100%. That's what I was thinking. I could already see that, okay, this is working like tremendously more at this stage with the trials and stuff than that was at that stage with the trials. So it's not necessarily about it working, because you might not see it working right now. It's just, I just knew.
You just knew. I think it's this belief in yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I know what I'm capable of, even if I don't know the fullness of what I'm capable. Like sometimes it's just a knowing, and you can't identify where it's. But you just know that you know that you know, but you don't know how you know. All at the same time. But that's interesting because to your point, like a lot of us get to this crossroad where we have to make this decision. And you're like, listen, school's cool, been here for 3 years, been doing my thing, you know what I'm saying? But I mean, I could push through, continue to get in debt, and get this degree in engineering, which I know, I mean, I may use, may not use, but I know I have this other passion. So maybe this is my way for me to just be able to push through and do what I really want to do. And that's what you did. It's so interesting. I haven't told this story a lot at all. So I was at Tuskegee, I think in my sophomore, junior year, whatever, at TU. Loved Tuskegee. And I had a friend, you know, being from Atlanta, I had a friend who was like, hey, you know, you do music, like, you probably really need to be back home. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, girl, I'm never leaving Tuskegee. Go to Texas the day I die, baby. We live in the belly of ignorance all day, baby. Booker T, 1881. You know what I'm saying? It gets deep. You know what I'm saying? It gets deep when you walk on that campus.
A lot of passion.
And a lot of passion. And she was like, I hear you, but I really think that you need to... you probably should consider, like, you know, transferring and coming back home. And I was like, girl, you tripping. And so I really thought about it, and I was like, okay. And I transferred to Georgia State toward the end of, like, my college career at Tuskegee. And it probably was the best decision I could have made for my career. Because I got back home, and I immediately got in the studio, started demoing for people, start working with people, made an album, start going on tour. And you know what I mean? Like, but that was my crossroad, right? I'm in school, and I couldn't, and I would have loved to completely, fully graduate from Tuskegee, but at the time I had to make a decision. And I truly believe that decision helped to set ablaze a certain trajectory for me. And we all get to that place, and I think we have to really think about, we have to maximize and amplify our future over our fear. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Man. There's this thing I've been kind of living by is don't betray your future self for your personal, or for your present, whatever that could be, present pleasure, present decision, or whatever. So if you can think into the future, that's kind of like, it's not everything that matters, because now being present and living present matters too. But I like to at least peek out the window every now and then and see what's on the horizon. So what you just said is kind of akin to that.
I think we have to really be honest with ourselves. Like, you know, am I willing to? Because a lot of people say they want something, right? But like, am I really willing to go through this space and this time and the fear that may come with different things to get to what I want in the future? Because I know a lot of people now who are looking at their present selves, and they're not glad about the decisions that they made. You know what I'm saying? They're like, dang, I should have did it. I could have, you know what I mean? I think that we all get those moments. So like, just encouraging anybody who's like at that crossroad with making a decision that directly impacts your future or who you want to be, you need to sit with it, and you need to commit to it, and you need to just do it. And your future self will thank you. One thing I can attest to, and I'm sure you can attest to, is that once you start moving in that direction, it works. Even when it's hard, even when it doesn't seem it's working, it works.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
I can think about how, like, I just be honest, how frightening it was to move. Like, from Birmingham. I've been, you know, in Birmingham for a number of years, and they say, okay, cool, I'm finally going to move to Atlanta, Georgia, and do this, you know, still full time. And that process, the transition, like that pivotal point of actually moving, I was exhausted. It was so many like uncertainties. It was just like, oh, well, this not working. Am I finna be sent with my tail between my legs right back in a month or two? Very realistic possibility, by the way. But once I got there and got in motion and just really like saw everything for what it was, with the trials, nothing comes without that. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how many connections you got, how long you've been doing, how much experience. So once those things happened, I was like, oh, okay, you know, this is tough, but I'm kind of already going downhill. You know what I'm saying? Like,
we hear that.
It's happening, you know, downhill on a skateboard. So it's just, you know, so you're right about that. I can attest to that with this recent season that I'm in. You know, having, you know, it's been a couple of years, but still feels yesterday.
It still feels new because like we're ever evolving. So just to take them back, so you leave UA, you start producing, you keep going, you continue to hone in on your craft of like production, of engineering, all those different things, and then you build a studio. Yep.
100%.
Right. So you build, you like, hey, if I'm gonna do this, like I guess I need somewhere to record. So I need to have my own space, right? So you build a studio, amazing space. A lot of people have come through that space.
100%.
And then you get to a point where you say, okay, I need to move. What was the deciding factor for you?
For me personally, I like to tell people a lot. This is specifically a lot of people, the people from here, from Birmingham, they talk to me about this, and they ask essentially, "Oh, how do I do this?" But they don't say it that way. And I say,
"We got y'all. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things I would say that's really pivotal is either move or move around. So you don't have to, but I'm just specifying the field of entertainment and music and stuff like that. You have to go to some of these places where there's already a camera on, there's already a connection that you need. So I hadn't moved, but I was moving around like crazy. It wasn't a week, it wasn't a 2-week span where I didn't either gas up something and go, or I had to go out west for something like that. But of course, it was so many trips to Atlanta. Yeah. When I looked at my odometer and how many miles I put on my car after a while, because I was just in it. I wasn't thinking about it. Literally spent a week in Atlanta and a week back home. A week and that was like back and forth. So what it was is I didn't know that this was about to happen, but I had built so many good relationships throughout that time period. I'm just going for the specific job at the time. I got to run this studio session. Produce for this person and blah, blah, blah. I got to record their vocals, and I got an event to go to real quick, in and out. Sometimes it was day trips. And through that, I didn't know how much handshakes had happened and how many of those happened and how much my contact list had, kind of built up or whatever. But when I looked at it, I started to get a lot of calls out of nowhere. And that's usually how it happens. You got to be ready when, it happens. Yes. Folks be like, hey, I need this done, man. You in town? I'm going to try to get it done by tomorrow. Man, give me about 2 or 3 days, man, because I already had commitments and I didn't want to, be totally messed up with people that I already committed to record here and stuff like that. So I was looking at it, see how I can map it out, and I tell them, I'll be there in 2 or 3 days. Opportunity's gone by.
They need it right now.
So that was very telling to me. It was one time I was at an event on some day trip stuff, and there was this pretty legit manager. And I was connected to him online through somebody else, but we had never done this before. And we sitting there at the event, and he recognized me. I recognized him. He knew I had just been out west doing some work. So he mentioned that just because of Instagram or whatever. And we just sitting there chilling. He looked over at me and said, so how long you in town? I said, I'm just here today. Just came for the event. That's it. Oh, okay. He's just standing there. It was an awkward 4 or 5 seconds, but there's an event going on. I double back and said, man, what made you ask me that, man? What's going on? What you got?
What's up? What you need? What's up? Yeah.
Oh, nothing. Just working on this Trey Songz album. And I'm gone, though. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just thinking, what would that conversation have looked like had I had any opportunity to stick around or plan to do? Because I had something to get back for. So that was small but ginormous. It was
pretty big.
To look at that. But it was hundreds, well, not hundreds, but at least tens
more opportunity. Yeah.
Not even opportunities, but cases where the phone call came in and I'm just I'll be there all the time, but I'm not there right now. So, now seeing the difference of that, now I was just once I move, I can actually cultivate, I can really benefit off of these relationships. If I can serve these people more, what I do, be there for that day or the next day when I make that call. So that's happened consistently since I've been there. I might work for 3 or 4 months without something, some fanfare or something big happening, but after 3 or 4 months, I get one of them calls. And it's like, hey, you in town? Of course I'm in town, man.
I'm here, baby. I got what you need.
Yeah. So that's probably a huge part of why,
I think that's good. There's so much in that. What I heard in there is relationship building. What I heard in there is how we show up. What I heard in there is about understanding how to seize opportunities. And what I heard is if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
On and go on.
So what we're talking about, when we talk about relationships, you okay, I'm not going to the A to trick off. You know what I'm saying? I'm working because it's easy to go places and be like, hey, let's move for the night. And I mean, eventually, but the goal is I'm focused on building relationships because most of everything that we do, people work with who they know and who they like. You know what I'm saying? But people got to know you and they got to like you. But then when we talk about the industry, people want to work with folks who are good people, honest people who are who have integrity, but also who are skilled at what they do. Because time is money. They don't want to waste time with you if you don't know what you're doing. I want to get in the studio. I want you to be prepared, and I want you to bring out the best in what we got going on.
That's very real.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, people come in and want to leave an hour, 45 minutes later because they on the move. So
They done.
what's pivotal for that or important is that things are already, by the time they walk in the door, the sessions are already pulled up.
Yep.
And nothing's ever said about this, but I know it's noticed. And I know it means something, and that's what encourages that next phone call.
Yes.
You know, I need you again for something.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Your preparation, how you show up, how you present. To your point, when people come to you, are you professional?
Yeah.
I can guarantee, like you said, you haven't heard it, but I'm sure the conversations, especially people who be like, oh yeah, so-and-so gave me your information. Yeah. It's like, yo, work with him. When you come, he gonna be on time. The session gonna be ready. He know what he doing. He prepared. He's focused. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so the relationship building is also like correlating with our professionalism. Like, how are we showing up? What are people saying about us when we're not in the room? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's important for us when we think about building our own personal brand. Like, of course, people are saying brand. Yeah. But, you know, it's not a logo and a website. It's who you are. Yeah. It's how you show up. You know what I'm saying?
Is your what represents you.
It's your reputation. Yeah, what is your brand? What are people saying when you're not in the room? So it's like, I'm building these relationships. I'm showing up in a professional way. I'm prepared, right? And then you're like, okay, I noticed that it was time for me to make a pivot when there were opportunities that were coming to me and I couldn't seize them, which are going to help me get to the next level. Yeah.
Whatever that may be. I know there is another one and there's always something that you be doing, but being available is a big thing. Just like you said, once that phone call happens, am I in the right headspace? I don't have a choice not to be.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you know, that can be argued, but if you want forward motion that day or that week when that call comes in, you just got to figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out.
Yeah, I know life's tough right now, but shake it off. And 45 minutes to an hour, and they ready to get on up out of the door. Yeah. So being available for, like, in many different ways. Number one, I'm there now. Station. Now that's one point of availability. And number two, I'm kind of always in the craft in some kind of way and growing and learning. So I'm making their experience better. I have more to offer. Maybe I can mix a little bit more efficiently. So when they leave, they're like, oh man, I sound better leaving the studio than I do when I went to Joe Schmo. You know, and you know, that helps. I had to be available in some kind of way. I still had to have a consistent number of 4 o'clock in the morning nights where I was figuring out stuff, how to make these experiences better. And I might not even be thinking that deep about it. I might just love what I'm doing and want to create something, and I just can't stop them in a mode. And then the byproduct of that is being able to serve other people with. You know what I'm saying? It might just be that simple.
And I love that. And that's what I was saying at the beginning. Like, I feel like you are a person, like most of the people we really had an opportunity to talk to, is committed to your craft. Like, just because I'm passionate about what I do, so I'm learning intentionally just to get better. You know what I mean? I think sometimes when we get to a certain place, and I've experienced it with myself as well, we can plateau. Because you get to a place like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. I've mixed this. I've sang this. I've wrote this. I've created this. I've done this consultation before. I don't need no preparation. I done spoke on this topic. And so we get to a place where we just kind of plateau. And we stop growing. And when we stop doing that, it also impacts the work and it impacts the people that we are here to serve, like you said. Because it's like, shoot, when I leave a session with B, I sound better because B has stayed up and figured out what's this plugin. Listen, whenever we record, I'm like, give me some flanger. Ooh, yeah. Give me that flanger, baby. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. But the thing about it is, anybody who I've had a conversation with, we're always like, man, beat is that deal. Because you're always committed to figuring out how to do something better for yourself, for your clients, and it just continues to elevate. So like, I appreciate that. So you like, hey, I got to make the move to the A. It's a lot, like you said, that happened. It was challenging, but you did it. You get there. And now what I want to kind of talk about is the music side, the business side of music. I think a lot of people want to create, but people don't understand the business side, which is very key because it's fun to create, but we need that money. You know what I'm saying? And you got to protect your intellectual property. You have to know how to handle your business to keep relationships clean. Because if you don't know how to handle and split and all that, it can get real sticky, icky out there in them streets. You know what I'm saying? And it has gotten, right? And so I want to talk about the business side of creating, right? So you was about to say something. Go ahead.
Say something. The first thing come to mind, I'm going to tell the ugly side.
Okay.
My very first placement, I'm almost ashamed of. I'm very proud of it. Almost ashamed of it because I didn't have that stuff prepared.
Gotcha.
And you expect for people to do certain things, or they be like, okay, I'm going to hold your hand and guide you through. They don't have time.
Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
But their expectation is that you got your stuff together.
Yeah. They don't have time for it. Like
Yeah.
they moving just as, seriously as I am, or all over the place just like I am. So I got this placement. For the sake of it, I ain't gonna say which one.
Okay.
But if you want to do your research, you can go and look and see.
Yeah. We can keep it clean.
Because it might make the artist look a certain way.
It's okay. We keep it clean.
Smooth, but I get this placement that I didn't think I even had access to getting. First of all, that was a handshake deal. Not deal, but I got access to this person because of handshakes. 2 degrees of separation, shook hands with one person, was able to get a number of tracks to them. Never thought they'd listen.
Yeah.
And they did, and I got a call back with a completed song just out of nowhere because I left my number. Proudest moment ever at that time. And I see the record come out. It's on multiple projects. I think it was on 3 different projects, but I didn't have anything together. Nothing. I might have had my ASCAP, at the time. I believe I did, but performance rights organization stuff.
Yes, PRO. Yeah. So let's put a pause there. So you have certain PRO, which are performing rights organizations. So you got your ASCAP, your BMI, your CSAC. You got all those different things. So that's an important part of having stuff in place. But then there's also, this copyright piece that you need to do. Right?
Yeah.
There's the split piece. There's the attorney piece.
Yeah.
There's those different things.
Yeah.
So kind of that PRO setup is like, one step of a few that needs to happen.
Yeah. So the other things you mentioned, like copyright and attorney and stuff, got them now.
Amen and
from
amen
experience.
Again. Yeah.
But at that time, all that stuff wasn't necessarily in place. So the part that kind of, it just gutted me was I got the recognition of like, oh man, this is so cool that you got this placement. So many more people than I was aware of knew about it. My name was attached to it. My beat tag was on it or whatever, so you couldn't run from that. But people would meet me for the first time, and this is just me understanding human behavior and body language and all that kind of stuff to the extent that I do. I ain't no psychologist or nothing, but I would see that people would meet me for the first time and be super pumped that they would meet me. Those who cared about that placement. But then they'd be like, oh, dang, this the car you drive, or this where you stay at, or whatever. And I hate that part of it. But they would associate that with me already having figured out the money and having like all this stuff put together. And maybe there could have been some upside to that at the time, or who knows? I don't know. Like what all I might have missed out on at that time. It might have been nothing. It might have just looked the way that it was supposed to look because it was supposed to be there. But I know for a fact that something was missed because I didn't have it put together.
Missed.
I know I didn't have everything put together. And I kind of looked at that other entity, kind of like, dang, man, how y'all going to do this? But accountability, I didn't have it together.
Yeah.
How could I expect them to be there for me if I wasn't there for me?
Yeah.
At the time, I wasn't taking that part of it seriously. Yeah. I just wanted to create, and that's big because, most artists say, man, if I just had a manager, if I just had, a publicist, or if I was on a label, man, I could just focus on being an artist or focus on being a producer. But maybe until that time happens where you got that sort of machine, then you got to kind of be a few different things at once, and you got to make sure you don't forget about that business part.
Yeah. And I think even when you get to the place of being, you still need to have your finger on the pulse of things. You know what I'm saying? Because you have, now at that point, you got people just kind of making their own decisions about what's going on. And you still could be so focused on the money. We hear about people who ain't got taxes filed and they do all different type of stuff. Yeah. And it's not because they evading, but they folks who they put in position are not doing it. Yeah. So, man, okay. So you in this situation, it's absolutely unfortunate, and you're seeing it now. And I think that's an important point that you made. Is I hear a lot of people say, like, I just want to create, I just want to sing, and that's important too. But you also want to be able to live. You want to be, when you see your work out in the world, you want to be proud of that work and know that not only do people acknowledge it, but that you were able to benefit off of it. Because yes, we do things for the love, but there's also a real thing called capitalism, right? You know what I'm saying? It's called currency, and you need money to be able to do more of what you love, because the more that you can make from your craft, the more comfortable you can live, the more free time you have to be able to create more, to be in these different places. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that happened, and it was like, whoa. Yeah. Whoa. You know what I mean? So how did you rebound from that? And then how did you find out what you needed? Because I think sometimes people get into certain spaces, and to your point, it's not out of being irresponsible.
Yeah.
It is out of the ignorance. We don't
lack of
know what
knowledge.
to do.
Lack of
I don't know
knowledge.
what to do. And I'm hoping that someone will kind of step up and support me. And most people, like you said, not that it's even malicious.
Yeah, yeah.
They just like, listen, it is what it is, you
Figure it
know?
out like I did. Yeah.
Pretty
Yeah, that's how
much.
they
You know
look
what I
at
mean?
it,
It's like a hazing process. You know, they the DP. They like, this is where we at. You know what I mean? You take them licks like I took them licks.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
how did you rebound from that? And how did you figure out what you did need and find those people?
I got a call from a manager one day.
Yeah.
And they kind of had fallen out with that entity as well. So this ain't gonna be everybody's story.
Yeah.
So then once they called me and told me, hey, this and that is put together, I got the suit ready if you want to go forward with it. But I was like, dang, man, this seems kind of abrasive here, man. I don't know if it's like that. You know, I just gotta take my loss here because I didn't have such and such put together, you know. But I can see why you're asking that, because it very well could have derailed me. Like, it very well, I know it would have derailed a lot of people. Has derailed a lot of people coming across that, man. It can make you grow a sense of hatred for this type of stuff, man. Because it's built off of people. Like, it ain't just all making music. You have to have relationships to make music with people. So, what I can say about it, though, is I did start off and say, oh, it was a pretty sizable placement. You know, people knew about it. So what it was for me was I didn't get this like lump sum of anything or these residual things or whatever, but people knew about it. So the fact that I was in it already, I was available.
You could leverage that.
Yeah. And I was available. The school thing has just come to a halt, and I'm thinking at the time maybe it was just a comma. You know what I'm saying? And it wasn't that, it was a period.
Yeah.
A few periods. Ellipsis. No, it was a period. Since I was more available to it than I had been in the past few years or whatever before then, more people wanted to work with me to some capacity.
Yes.
So that helped that I stayed busy in it regardless. And I have to say that helped, period. Great. I didn't get what I thought I was supposed to get from it, but I did get something else as long as I remained available. It wasn't just gonna happen if I just wanted to just sit on the couch eating Lay's,
be mad
and playing games or whatever. Like, I had to still be in work mode to some extent.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a scar, and I knew it. I felt it. I could see it. I could see it healing. But there was some other focus that I could take advantage of, is just still being in it, whatever that might have meant. And I have to also admit that even though such and such didn't happen from it, it still did bring in continuous clientele for, studio time and people wanting to get production from me and stuff like that. So that helped. And maybe that's a terrible answer because I didn't have much control over that, other than making sure I was available. Like, I didn't give up on that part, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's the best I can say for it, I think.
No, I think that's amazing, because the key is your perspective.
Yeah.
When obstacles and trials do come, that really, and if we told the story, people would, be like, oh, okay, you're justified in feeling that way. You're justified for having that response, instead of taking the normal route of, man, it bull, like, tripping, you know what I'm saying? Like, it getting lost in the bitterness of situations. It was like, okay, that hurt. I'm not gonna lie. I'm going to take these lumps, but I'm going to keep moving. You know what I'm saying? And I think the perspective is so key in any situation, because how you see something will determine how you respond. And how you respond can determine the trajectory of your life in the next opportunity that comes. And so it could have very well been like, you know what, man? I'm going to mess at the house. They tripping out here, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, they, but it was like, no, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to consistently work. And like you said, I can leverage this opportunity.
Into something else.
Into something. So either the opportunity, this could come, and it could throw me off my game, and it could make me harden and jaded toward this industry and people, and associate everybody with how this worked out. Or I can leverage the fact that this is a huge placement for me, and my tag is there, that people see what I have going on. You know what I'm saying? And leverage it to continue to get more clients. Because the reality is, regardless of how the back end of the business worked, you still made and created something that was great. And you still helped propel someone else.
100%.
And people like, give me that. You know what I mean? Like, you always the sauce. So the reality is, even when a situation happens, it's not the end.
Yeah.
If you continue to keep it moving.
1,000%.
You know what I'm saying? So there's the business side. So that placement, it kind of was a little off. So you had to keep going. You had to kind of keep building those relationships for people. And I mean, this may seem a little redundant, but for people who are kind of in the music space, what would be some advice you would give them around, like, thinking through the business side of music? Because there's the creativity side.
Yeah.
There's the commitment to the craft side. There's the decisions and pushing through the fear. But then the business side is so important.
Yeah.
Right?
I would say, I guess it makes sense for me to say this, at least get started. And there's some foundational principles that you can apply. You can just do that. When we bring up the PROs, the ASCAP, BMIC, CSEC stuff, if you want to go as far as to do your sound exchange stuff or whatever, get a lawyer, get an entertainment attorney. Like, you'll learn a lot through that because they've done so much and they're going to be willing to help you. You're the client. Copyright stuff. So the stuff we kind of mentioned, like, you know, and maybe people have heard these words before, but once you get those things tightened up, okay, cool. Once you get those things tightened up, there's just a few core principle things that you can do. You will come across something later on, and you might not need all that stuff right now. But cool, really quickly, I got a placement maybe 2-3 years ago, and it was one of the bigger ones that's happened. And the business looked a whole lot different than it had before.
Yes.
Totally different. It was websites we had to go through, tiers we had to go down, a bunch of rabbit holes, honestly, but it needed to happen in order to finalize that deal. Now, it was troubling, it was out of the way, but pieces were already together. Yes. I already had a business account, and I needed that in order to finish all that stuff out of it. I already had to have an LLC, EIN number, like all that kind of stuff. And I won't say I didn't need it up until then, because I probably used it a couple of times, but right then and there, if I didn't have just these courts, just go on ahead and get them. Get your LLC, get your numbers and all that kind of stuff, and just have it. So when you come across those train tracks, that could have derailed me for another 6 months if I didn't have some of that stuff, and I would have just been sitting there mad because I couldn't get my little payout, my couple of little coins, or I couldn't finalize the paperwork for it or whatever or whatnot. But because those just core principal things were done that you just know you need to do anyways. Like, we've all heard copywriting, we've all heard of the ASCAP stuff at least. Even if you don't have not any intention, but a reason necessarily to use it in the next 2 weeks, just have it in place. And once you do that, you're gonna, if you stand in it, you stand available to it, you're gonna come across an opportunity to use it. And it'll make that process so much better. You won't be sitting around looking stupid like I was. It's just like, okay, I got this out, but now what? You know what I'm saying? So that helps tremendously. So
it goes back to, like, stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready.
Okay.
So a lot of times, I think when people think of, like, getting their EIN and registering for the LLC, they're like, oh, like, well, I ain't got no store. I ain't doing. But even in music, you are a business entity. That is how you're going to get paid. So yes, if you have a production company, even if you are a songwriter, you need to have an entity. So go on irs.gov, get an EIN number. It takes 5 minutes. Right? Go ahead and apply for your LLC through that same website. You're just putting the name in there. You can put LLC. You are a sole member LLC. Then you go to the Secretary of State website for your state and you get a formation for that company. Now you have a formation and you can take those same documents and you go down to whatever bank of your choice and open up a business bank account. So when someone wants to pay you, you are fully functioning. Then you go ahead and you determine which performing rights organization you want to go with. You go ahead, you set up an account. You get those things together. He made mention of something called sound exchange. You need to do sound exchange because so much music is streaming and it's all over the place. You need to go ahead and register for a sound exchange account. The foundational things.
You're saying this so much better than I did. I should have asked you all these questions.
Foundational things. And you can get, sometimes we think too, we can't add people to the team, but I ain't got enough bread. I'm telling you right now, you need to just inquire because you can also put an attorney on retainer, right? So you need to figure out, like, what is the best route? And even if you like, yo, literally, I don't have the bread. We talked about relationships. Call somebody. Start developing a relationship with them so that when the time comes, you've already determined who you want to represent you. There's a an amazing entertainment attorney. I used to work when I was in college. Her name is Bernie L. Watkins. She's in Atlanta. An amazing entertainment attorney. I know you have one.
Yeah.
If you want to shout them out, I ain't trying to put you on.
Let's go THD. Yeah. THD legal. Absolutely. Go on .com.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so that they have a starting point. Reach out to these entertainment attorneys. Just start building a relationship with them, right? And make sure that you're prepared for the opportunities. Because if you're serious about it, the opportunities will come.
Yeah.
If you continue to put the effort in and you keep moving in that right direction. But we don't want to miss out on opportunities, and we don't want to get jaded because people allow things to be what they're going to be because their expectation is that we're ready.
Yeah, 1,000. 1,000. Yeah. Like I said, you're saying all this much better than I did.
Team effort.
Well, all your questions, I should have gotten the paper from you and started this. So, Alicia.
Listen. It's a team effort. Now, I appreciate you for sharing that. So, really quick before we wrap. So, you've gone through all that. You are now getting ready to, you've released your third project.
Yeah.
I'm going to make B sing.
No.
I need somebody bring my keyboard out.
Next time.
I'm just playing. I don't have anyone to bring a keyboard out. And so, no, you're absolutely going to do it.
Oh, God.
We'll figure it out. And so, you just released your third project. Tell us a little bit more about your project.
All right. So, it's called R&B Lover, right? Mm-hmm. So, what it is you can look at that and say that I'm saying that I love R&B, but it kind of can apply to whomever. So, what I wanted to do with it is kind of tap into the quintessential era of R&B.
Yes.
As much as I could creatively.
I miss it.
Yeah, because everybody who likes R&B or listen to it, they say, I got a 90s R&B playlist, early 2000s or whatever. So I had to figure out what that means. Like, what elements of that era keep drawing people back in, And to me, the word that comes to mind is just a little bit more effort. Because those songs, it sound like it took a long time to record those. I mean, 3 and 4 part harmony and stacking vocals 4 times and all that for each note. So I wanted to use that creatively to answer this question.
I love that.
Is R&B dead? Because it was a big conversation for a long time. It still kind of is a big topic of conversation. So, of course, my answer is going to be undoubtedly no. Yeah, it's alive and well. But, I mean, so through it, I wanted to add elements like, 3-part harmonies everywhere, skits, like interludes and stuff like that. 100%. So I had that. Yeah. So I wanted that in there. So Tamika Scott of Escape, she actually picked up the phone for me and said, yes, I would do it. She's doing the narration for me throughout the project on these interludes, if you will, or whatever. Yes. So to have that, if you listen to the project from, it's not that much time, but Asia, where we're at right now, I got to tell people it's not 89 minutes worth of listening. Just press play and let it happen.
Yes.
If you listen to it through like that, you would discover that her talking and leaving voicemails to the male character, I ended up playing that.
Mm-hmm. Of course you did.
Yeah. To the male character on that, it wasn't a love story between those two people. It was her talking to R&B about the first time she met me.
Brown sugar.
Yeah, 100%.
I met this girl and I see it. Okay.
100%. So it's very akin to that. Yeah. And the fact that you find it out as the story progresses and once it kind of ends that she was talking about the first time she met R&B. R&B talked back to her and said, man, I know I'm going through a lot right now. But just bear with me. I'm still here. Yeah. And she said, hey, I know you've been going through a lot right now. And, the auto backlash are like, oh, is R&B dead or whatever, essentially. But hey, I know we're gonna put it together. Yeah. I love you, R&B. That's how it kind of ends.
That's dope.
So I love it's not that much. It's not that, overbearing of a storyline, but I wanted to just do something that reminded people of why they might love R&B or why they fell in love with it in the first place.
That's dope. Okay, so R&B Lover is the name of the project.
R&B Lover.
R&B Lover. We got to go cop that. We got to go download that.
Immediately.
Right now, I am definitely going to do that. Make sure y'all support everything that he has going on. Not only producer, not only engineer, but songwriter. Artist.
Yeah.
Vocalist.
Yeah. A little bit. A little something, hold a little note.
I'm here for it all. I just personally want to say that I'm extremely proud of you.
Appreciate it.
It has been an honor to be able to kind of just watch you grow and cheer you on, whether through social media or in my own personal prayers, as you continue to strive and move toward all the things that you are doing. And it has been a personal pleasure as well to be able to work with you and for you to help pull out things in my own creative journey. So I'm excited for you, and I'm excited for all that you're going to do, and I'm excited for the generation of producers and vocalists and multi-hyphenate creatives that you'll be able to inspire,
100%.
and share your story with them as they figure out, okay, literally, how do I do this, and how do I find people to support me? How do I push through the things I don't know?
Yeah.
The fear.
Yeah.
And, actualize my dreams.
That's it. That would be a dream, is to actually be able to influence somebody else with all I've gone through.
Yeah.
And, have busted through all these boulders and stuff. I got cuts on my arms.
Yeah.
Just walk through.
Yeah.
So hopefully, and that's not to say that they won't experience any kind of hardship. They're going to. I'm going to just keep it funky with you about it. It's coming. It's happening. But at least having that little bit of information that somebody before you did not have, it'll help certain pivotal points in your journey. So that would be a dream, to be able to be an influence to that extent.
That's easy. That's easy money. We can get that done ASAP.
Yeah.
Okay, we're doing a master class. It's done.
Come on.
All right, Bong. So, all right, break down the song. What's your favorite song?
Ever? Off my project.
Off your project.
Yeah, see, we finna go for another hour.
I was about to say.
We're finna go for another hour. Oh, that's so tough.
Oh
man, I'm gonna hurt
the drama.
I'm gonna hurt myself saying this. I'm gonna hurt some people, man. Honestly, I might have to say, and it's not necessarily a super popular record, but there's a song called "Pick Up Your Phone," and it's featuring Lil Duval.
Okay.
Now, the reason being is because the creative process that I have, it was 100% in the driver's seat, and I was in the trunk tied up when this happened. I wasn't even in the backseat. So what happened is I knew that I wanted this type of song, didn't know where to start. How do I do this? And it hit me. And that's the part I hate saying this, because I'm, being super like bland and generalized when I say this, but the song just literally came to me. Yeah. And it was my responsibility to do a voice memo of it for the time that I was able to sit down and write it or produce it or whatever. And when I did that, downhill on the skateboard. Okay. And just the process of, I also got out of my shell, because I don't like to bother folks about nothing. Yeah. Nothing. I don't know why this is a part of me, but it just is. I don't want to bother about it. To call Lil Duval and ask him to have gotten on that song. So it was a lot of the reason I have to say that song is one of the favorites, or if not the favorite on there, is because I saw a lot of things activated and a lot of barriers get broken down, for me, within myself. Because I got the song ready, and that's a part of me too. I want to, before I call him, it's already ready and done.
Make sure, yeah.
What if you just round the corner right now? You can come through right now and do it. I don't want to just say, I got this idea. I have this song. It's already prepared. So you need
to come to people with an idea, something to articulate to them. Yeah. All right. I didn't
had it prepared. I had the portions that needed to be demoed.
Yes.
By the time I made that call, I said, man, what will it take to get this done, man? He laughed. He said, nothing, man. Just send it to me. And I could send it. Yeah. Because these other steps were already taken. So to see that come into fruition, that's why. Because that reminded me of not why I do it, but how it was when I got started. It was that fire of of just, man, I'm just sitting in the passenger seat. It's driving right now to some extent, So to see that come to life, that's why I have to give that answer.
I love that. Let me hear it.
The song?
Yes, B.
I thought you said we
just sing a snippet. You ain't coming back down. Don't play with me, Brian Cook.
I'm not coming back.
But you're gonna come back. But I might. You think I'm gonna sit here and wait on you to come back and sing this song?
Yeah.
I'm not.
All right.
Come on, let's do it.
Girl, pick up your phone. Pick it up. Pick it up. 'Cause I need you in my home. Yeah, it could be you and me. Don't you act brand new on me. Right here is where you should be now. Hey, that's it right there.
Okay. Listen, call me Sway in the morning, baby. We going. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
A word up. Thank you.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming. This is another episode of the How Do I Do This podcast. Always honored to have people to take time out of their schedule, their day, the things that they're doing, to sit down and talk to, not me, but to really talk to you all, to talk to us as we all navigate navigate this journey together. We may be in different industries, different cities, doing different things in different places in our lives. We are all navigating this journey together. So thank you, B. I appreciate you. Make sure y'all go ahead and check out R&B Lover. Don't play no games. Right now. Do you have a video for it?
I have several short videos, but I'm actually about to shoot the first one now. I won't say for what, but it's coming. Like the full feature video.
So top notch. I mean, so top secret. I just can't even. So Hollywood. Before I leave, I have to get on him. Do y'all see that? Hey, he looking like new money.
It's time to go, man.
Like new money.
It's time to go, and we done. We over time.
Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yeah.